Antonio Brown, one of the most electrifying receivers the NFL has ever seen. A sixth-round pick who defied the odds to become the best in the game, only to throw it all away. But before the drama, before the controversies, AB was simply a kid chasing greatness. But before we begin, I would appreciate it greatly if you would leave a like and leave a comment with your thoughts below, and also subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you won't miss the next upload. In 2010, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Antonio Brown with the 195th overall pick in the 6th round. This was a pick they got from the Cardinals in a trade, just a throwaway selection to most people, but for AB, it was everything. Brown signed a 3-year, $1.28 million deal. Nothing crazy, but enough to get his foot in the door. He wasn't handed anything though. He started his rookie season as the 5th wide receiver on the depth chart, buried behind veterans like Hines Ward and Mike Wallace. But Brown didn't waste any time making a statement. In his NFL debut against the Titans, he took the very first play, a reverse on a kickoff, 89 yards to the house. With that, he became the first player since Steve Smith to return a kickoff for a touchdown in his first career game. Not bad for a late round pick, right? The Steelers were a playoff team that year, and Brown was about to have his first I'm him moment. In the divisional round against the Ravens, he caught a 58-yard bomb late in the game, setting up the game-winning score. Pittsburgh went all the way to the Super Bowl that year, but they'd fall short to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Still, Brown made a name for himself that year. Year 2, AB was on the rise. He moved up to the 3rd receiver spot and was slowly earning more targets. But his first 2 games, kinda slow. Then in week 7, against the Cardinals, something clicked. Brown exploded for 102 yards, his first ever 100-yard game. The very next week against the Patriots, first career receiving touchdown. From there it was on. He went off for 109 yards against the Ravens, and followed it up with a massive punt return touchdown in week 13 against the Bengals, earning himself AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Then came week 14 versus the Browns. This was the game where everyone realized Antonio Brown was special. 151 yards and a 79-yard touchdown to put the game away. By the end of 2011, Brown finished with over 1,100 receiving yards and had fully established himself as a rising star. From a 6th round afterthought to a key piece to the Steelers' offense in just 2 seasons. And the crazy part was, he was just getting started. Antonio Brown wasn't just good. He was a cheat code. From 2013 to 2018, he was the best wide receiver in football, and it wasn't even close. In 2012, the Steelers put their faith in AB, locking him up with a 5-year, $42.5 million extension. With Hines Ward retiring, Brown had to battle Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders for the starting job. By the end of the year, he was proving he belonged, posting 66 receptions, 787 yards, and 5 touchdowns, despite missing 3 games. But 2013, that's when the world took notice. Now the undisputed wide receiver 1, Brown exploded for 110 receptions, 1,499 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He broke Yancey Thigpen's franchise record for most receiving yards in a season and became only the 2nd Steeler ever, after Hines Ward, to receive a 100-catch season. And he wasn't even close to being done. You knew AB was a different breed when he literally drop-kicked a punter live on TV. That stunt may have cost him $8,200, but that wouldn't stop him from having a ridiculous season. He put up 129 catches, 1,698 yards, and 13 touchdowns, leading the NFL in receptions and receiving yards while setting up multiple Steelers records. AB wasn't just elite, he was unstoppable. Then came 2015, when AB turned defenses into practice dummies. Week after week, he put up video game numbers. By the end of the year, AB led the league in receptions, receiving yards, and added 10 touchdowns. No cornerback could guard him, his route running was flawless, his hands were automatic, and his ability to make defenders look lost was legendary. But then, disaster struck. In the playoffs against the Bengals, AB took a brutal headshot from Vontaze Burfict. That hit would cost him the next game, and maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of a downward spiral. But that didn't stop him from balling out in 2016. 106 receptions, 1,284 yards, 12 touchdowns. He was still elite, still putting up monster numbers. But the off-field antics started creeping in. Fines for cleats, excessive celebrations, and most famously, live streaming the Steelers' locker room after a playoff game, which didn't sit well with the team. In 2017, AB became the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, signing a 4-year, $68 million extension. And he earned it. He torched the Browns for 182 yards in Week 1, nuclear against the Ravens with 213 yards, and finished the year leading the league in receiving yards. He was the best receiver in football, and it wasn't even close. 2018 was more of the same. Brown passed 10,000 career yards, had another 1,297 yard season with a career-high 15 touchdowns, and tied the record for most seasons with 1,000 yards and 100 catches. But something wasn't right. AB's relationship with the Steelers was falling apart. He was benched in Week 17 after a heated argument with Ben Roethlisberger, and by the offseason, he demanded a trade. Just like that, the greatest wide receiver of the 2010s was done in Pittsburgh. And that was the beginning of the end. In March 2019, the Steelers, fed up with Brown's antics, sent him to the Raiders for just a 3rd and a 5th round pick. This was supposed to be a fresh start, right? Well, not exactly. Brown fought the NFL over his old helmet, filing not 1, but 2 grievances, which he lost both. Then he missed 10 of 13 practices due to frostbitten feet with a cryotherapy mishap. When the Raiders fined him $54,000 for missing time, Brown put the letter on Instagram. Things escalated when Brown repeatedly called GM Mike Mayock a cracker and had to be restrained. The Raiders fined him again, this time $250,000. And this was the final straw. On September 7th, just before his salary became guaranteed, the Raiders cut him loose. That same day, the Patriots took a chance, signing Brown to a 1-year, $15 million deal. And in his debut, he showed flashes of greatness. 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. But his time in New England lasted just 13 days. Allegations of sexual misconduct and intimidation surfaced, and the Patriots cut ties with him immediately. In true AB fashion, he announced his retirement in September 2019, only to take it back 4 days later. The NFL later suspended him for 8 days due to personal conduct violations. But then Tom Brady came calling. The Bucs signed Brown in October 2020, and in his return to the league, he played a key role in their Super Bowl run. In Super Bowl 55, he caught a touchdown as the Bucs dominated the Chiefs, giving Brown his first championship. Brown re-signed with Tampa for another year, but controversy followed. December 2021, he was suspended 3 games for misrepresenting his vaccination status. Then came the moment that defined his downfall. During a game against the Jets, Brown ripped off his jersey, threw his gloves into the crowd, and left the field mid-game. 4 days later, the Bucs made it official. Brown was done in Tampa. In March 2023, Brown announced his retirement. Again, he attempted to come back with an indoor team, the Albany Empire. It never happened though. Then in 2024, he declared himself retired, but not with the Steelers, not even with the Bucs, but with the Raiders. Classic AB. By November 2024, he was back in the headlines, offering to play for the Steelers for free. But Pittsburgh, just like the rest of the NFL, had moved on. Antonio Brown was one of the most talented wide receivers of his era, but his off-the-field antics overshadowed his greatness. Is he a Hall of Famer? He should be. He's got the numbers to back it up. He's even a Super Bowl champion. One of the greatest talents in NFL history, but also one of the biggest what-ifs.